Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We have amazing guests here today. Before I go to the Choshva in-house Sheikhet, a very, very dear friend of mine, Shauly Davis from Chicago. The reason why I'm mentioning his name first, he was from the original 5 Talmidim of mine in Chicago, all the way back when I did the first cycle. And he stuck it out with me till this very day. It's amazing. Wow. Shauly Davis. And we have Rabbi Avram Weiss. Rabbi Avram, come here because people see your pictures all the time. Every time the sugya has a picture of chaylev, of a lung, and it. Uh-oh. Wow. That I didn't. Yishkoyach Gadol. Wow. Our in-house Shoichet, Rabbi Avram Weiss, a tremendous Talmid Chacham. Yes, Yishkoyach.
This is a deer skin which I shechted myself as a gift for you.
A deer skin? Wow. What's inside? Tefillin bag. Yishkoyach. Look at this.
It's Bambi.
Don't listen. We're not going to repeat. Here, put this on the side or something. Shkoyach Gadol. Who else do we have here? What's your name, Rabbi? Shmuel Mordechai Horowitz from? Toronto. Who's next to you, Shui? Remind me. Huh? Right, sure. Okay. From Chicago. Toronto. What do I know? Canadians. Rabbi Blau. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Oh, Yoel Goldberg, the famous video guy from... No. Shkoyach from Boca Raton. I got your email. I saw that you're coming. Shkoyach. Who else? There's more guests than regulars here. What's your name? Amir Goldstein from Los Angeles. Los Angeles in the house. What's your name?
Hi, David Schlesinger. Partly from Memphis, Tennessee, and partly from Gila Shmuel.
Memphis, Tennessee. David? You said? Schlesinger. Unbelievable. Okay, I thought yesterday was our first Memphis guy. Oh, right across from you. Here we go. What's your name again? Remind me. Norman Itkowitz. Gewaldig. Okay, enough with the guests. If you're a new guest, I'm sorry. We got to go weiter. Listen to this, Rabbi Say. Unbelievable. There are a lot of hints here. I'm a follower of the MDY cult, Simchsvachim. And before that, I never made a siyum on a Masechta. You brought more Torah and Simcha into my life, and I'm forever grateful to you, Baruch Hashem, to you. Baruch Hashem, I had a baby boy last Thursday, and the bris will be this Thursday in Givat Ze'ev. I would like to honor you with being the sandik at the bris if you're available. I will be there tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem. I spoke to him. Yishkoyach Gadol means a lot to me. This will be like the first time I'm holding I did one time, it's on the coast. But the guy was 20 years old. Seriously. Avi was there. Dr. Factor was mechabed me. This will be the first time, a baby, the whole thing. This one is for you, Gary, and then we're going to go into this year. Jody Port. I'm writing you know him? Jody Port. I'm writing you from South Africa, where I just returned from a trip to Eretz Yisrael. One of the highlights of the trip was last Maseches Shabbos, where I was able to attend this year and personally meet you. It was so exciting to see the Beis Medrash in flesh and looking around the room, noticing faces that I've seen on screen for over 6 months was simply wonderful. He didn't see Nachman Seltzer because he wasn't here. He didn't see Mendy Auerbach because he wasn't here. And he didn't see Noam Fix because he wasn't here. I owe a lot of Akar Satayv to yourself, Matzah Shabbos. I owe a lot of Akar Satayv to yourself and the shir for many hours of learning we have done together. I would like to sponsor something for the shir to show my appreciation. Gary Ben Moshe is a family friend going back many years. I noticed that he sits on a simple plastic table and chair while he's attending to the technical needs of the shir. I'd love to sponsor a comfortable table and chair for him to use each morning. Wow, Gary. Please let me know if there's something you'd like to have sponsored, or perhaps you have something else in mind. Yeah, I was thinking you should sponsor my table and my chair. No. Give it to Gary. Givaldi. I look forward to hearing from you. Best regards from South Africa. Absolutely beautiful. Yishkoyach. There's so much. Oh, we have a couple of videos. Let's go to the video screen. If you're able to play some of the videos, we'll try. Here we go. You guys know what this is?
Good morning, Rabbi Sai. It's Shlomo Gertner here, and I have the zechus to learn the Daf with Rabbi Eli Stefansky. I'm so excited to be singing at the London MDY Siyum on March 8th. Please join this beautiful Torah event. I can't wait to see you. It's geschmack to learn the Daf.
Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Geschmack to do the Daf. Happy to announce we're doing musical entertainment for the MDY Chabura in Manchester, in Steencourt, the 9th of March. See you there with you and your family and the kids. It's open for everyone. Yes, L'chaim will see you there. It's going to be fun and nice. Geschmack to do the Daf. Thank you. Me, myself, I'm a Talmud from Eli Stefansky for the couple of months already. Thank you to Davydov. See you soon.
You guys in Toronto? He tells me, Rabbi Blau tells me in Toronto, they're expecting 200 people at this coming Siyum. Don't let me down. If it's 175, I'll be very disappointed. Siyum in Cleveland, Rabbi Isai. Details. Okay. We have a beautiful daf here. We have a bunch of, this is the first time I went on location and filmed some video for the shir. So don't shut off the video now. Sponsors. Oy vavoy. Where are they? So while I'm looking for it, wow, Yosef, the sharpness. By the way, when Yosef speaks in the back, he raises the volume. Since he edits the video, so he pumps up his volume so you hear him extra special. And he goes with sound, the whole thing. It's unbelievable. Let me just read it off here. But I will say this. Last night I had the big zechus of being on behind the bima with Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg and Rabbi Brody. And Rabbi Brody asked me two questions it was over an hour. His mouth was like this. I'm like, what's going on? Are you always this quiet? He says, no. And all of a sudden, in the middle of our interview, all of a sudden I hear, good morning. He's clicking around on the internet, trying to sign up. How do you sign up? Be'ezer Hashem, he's going to be competition with Nachi Gordon to be signing up quickly. Okay, where's the sponsorship here? Let's see. Okay, we'll do it later. We got to learn something today, no? Behind the Bima. It's a beautiful program. Here we go. I think. Oh, there's so much stuff here. All right, the Parnas HaChodesh, Mr. Anonymous, Lili Nishmas Chai Bas Yosem. Maseches Chagigah is dedicated by the Kessler and Davis families. Refuah shleima for Miriam Esther bas Devora, bekorov. And Parnas HaChodesh is a zechus for Rafael, Shlomo, ben Lifsha, and Rivka bas Gila, that they should be zoche to Zera Shel Kayama, bekorov. Parnas HaChodesh, Shauly Rosenfeld, in memory of my dear friend Yehuda Augenbaum. By the Lock and Lebovic families, Lakewood, as a zechus for our families. Jonathan, Davydov, in memory of Bechor Davydov, ben penir, may the Neshama have an aliyah. By Nisim, Li'ilui Nishmat Eliezer ben Sarah Shimonov, and for Rav Eli for all that you do, Yeshur Koyach. Here we go. So, let's make a little seder here. I didn't have time to show the parrot learning the daf with us. Other stuff, okay. Ooh, baby boys here, David Dimbert, next time. We had a whole list when we started. A list goes like this. First you have chulin. Chulin is regular fruit that grows on a tree. Any fruit that you don't touch and you don't say what it is, it's chulin. Then goes Meiser Sheni. Meiser Sheni is the 10% that you take off your produce. You could eat it yourself in Yerushalayim. It has a little bit more kedusha. Then we have truma. That's the 2% you give to the kohen. That has even more kedusha. Kodesh is a carbon, and a chatos means the water of the paraduma has the most kedusha, most susceptible to tuma. Kachim is more susceptible to kedusha than truma, but less than chatos, and vice versa. So it goes in order. This Mishnah, brand new parak, sponsored by Fischl, Refuah shleima for Brina Basienta Devora, is going to describe to us the differences between the fourth kedusha in the list, kodesh, and truma. So Chaymer bekodesh me betruma, and the Mishnah is going to go ahead and list 11 things that are different between the two. The first 6, the Gemara is going to tell us, are in one category because not only does it apply to somebody that's actually eating a korban, that's kachim, but also to somebody that pretends that what he's eating is kachim. So you could take a banana off the tree. I redid that chart yesterday because when I went to Kyle and I showed them this chart, they didn't like it so much because he said, look, you're buying it from the store, you don't know who the owner is unless he kept it b'kedusha the whole time, there's no tumah. So okay, I went like this, I did something like this, just to confuse everybody. We know kachim cannot grow on a tree. The only way you can get to kachim is if you shecht an animal. If something grows on a tree, what is it? Automatically it is the lowest of the low, it's chulin. Just regular chulin. You can't have a kachim tree, there's no such thing. But if the guy took a banana off a tree, he could create it and make it kachim in his mind. That's oichel chulin al taras hakodesh. He takes chulin off a tree, and he's gonna treat it as he's eating a korban, the meat of a korban. He's gonna treat it with the fullest chumras, meaning that even if a shlishi touches it, it becomes tamei. Because chulin stops at a sheni. If a sheni touches a banana, it's not tamei at all. Because sheni is too weak to make chulin tamei. If a shlishi touches a banana, it's certainly not tamei. But if you treat the banana on the highest degree of, not the highest, almost the highest degree of kedusha, like kachim, so even a shlishi will make it tamei, and it'll make it what? One step less than a shlishi, it'll make it a revi. Okay, and it stops there. So that's oichel tuma chulin al taras hakodesh. Chaymer b'kodesh me'betruma shemad bilim kelim b'toich kelim letruma. I hope it's still here. Yesterday, as the shiur was over, Bayer Blau from Toronto showed me the merch they have in Toronto. If you look closely, it's etched. It's a nice glass. So is this one right over here. It's etched. It came perfect. I was a little upset that we didn't finish the Mishnah yesterday, but it's fine because of this. If you take this kli and you put it in here, and you put these two in the mikvah, so when it's kodesh, if you're treating it like kachim, if I say my kelim are like kachim, then it's not a good tefillah. And we're going to see because it's a problem with chatzitza. It's not a d'oraisa problem with chatzitza because the water does get between the two, but midrabanan it's a problem with chatzitza. But if I treat this as truma, on the level of truma, then it's a fine tefillah, it works just fine. Next. Shemad bilim, kelim, betoich kelim, shkoy for the cups. And the stender. And all the merch. Shemad bilim, kelim, by the way, if anybody makes merch, there's a chiyuv of meiser. I take one. You make a knife with an engravement, I get one. There's no such thing, you have the merch and I don't. I have a collection and it comes there. Shemad bilim kelim b'toich kelim l'truma avaloi l'kodesh. But this doesn't apply to kachim. You cannot be toivel one kli inside another kli. Achirayim v'toich ubeis atzvita. Oh, so our good friend Akiva Solkowitz is going to another. This hint. Remember this gift he gave me? This happens to be the only kli I was able to find this morning that has achirayim according to the pshat that we're learning with. Toich obviously is over here. Achirayim is over here. It's a whole other vessel. All my bechors and everything were flat. I couldn't even find one glass. This had. So we're saying a chiddush here that if somebody was metama this area, he has a yad that's a sheni midrabanan, and he touches over here. So this will become tamei, but not this whole thing. This whole kli is not tamei. Typically, midiraisa, if the kli becomes tamei a little bit, the whole thing becomes tamei. We're talking about dirabanan here, and that only applies to each part of the vessel individually. You have the toich, you have the achirayim, and you have a beis hatzvita. You got to be careful with this. Let's put it over here. Beis hatzvita is, we're going to see in the Gemara, but let's say it's something like this. It's within the vessel itself, it has a room to put your hand in. Some people put dips here, let's say. I serve the meat here and I put a dip here, hummus, whatever you want in here. Use it for handles, use it. It's like another vessel, a side vessel. Bitruma, avalei b'kodesh. So if I touch the hummus compartment, I'm not matama the rest when it comes to truma. But if this is on a higher level of kodesh, that's more chamor. This is still the beginning of the list, the first 6 in the list, that these have a connection to the eraisa. Because with the eraisa, I could be matama the kli, and we're now talking about a derabanan, so it's in its list by itself. We'll explain it a little bit more later. Hanoises hamidros, noises hatruma. If I don't want to hold my shoe right now in my hand, but if I hold a shoe that a zav stepped on, the zav was matama the shoe, what is that called? A medris. I could hold in my other hand a closed barrel of truma, and it doesn't transfer through my body into the barrel of truma, it's closed. But not so with kachim. Kachim is more chomer. We're discussing what the chumras of kachim over truma. But not kachim. Big day oichlei truma. Amazing. I'm wearing this jacket. Being careful with my begodim on the darga of truma. This is 100% tamei. If I'm not careful for kachim. So in regard to kachim, this is tamei. I am completely careful for truma. No, I'm not careful enough. Whatever the svar is, it's different levels of watching, and I didn't watch it to the utmost respect of kachim, and therefore it's considered tamei complete. Medris l'kodesh. It's tumas medris. Loi kemidas hakodesh midas hatruma. There's a big difference between kachim and truma. Shebekodesh matir umenagev umadbil v'achakach kosher. If I have let's say my tzitzis, sometimes people, they wash tzitzis, they tie a knot between something, whatever. Example. It's not a very tight knot. Water could seep through the knot. So there's not a real big problem of chatzitza, but it looks like chatzitza a little bit. So when it comes to kachim, in order for me to be toivel, remember in those days, Bezer Hashem, when it comes to the Beis Hamikdash, we're going to start dunking our clothes in the mikveh, our couches and chairs go in the mikveh. Things go in the mikveh. So you have to untie the knot if you treat this beged like kachim, matir, umenagev. You have to make sure there's no moisture, because moisture puffs it up, creates a problem of chatzitza. Umatbil, and then, only then, you could go ahead and be toivel. And then tie it back. Ubetruma, but if you're treating this garment on a lesser level of truma, kosher, it's not a problem. Tie a knot. You could tie it. You could be toivel in the mikvah with a knot. So is this a problem of chatzitza or not a problem of chatzitza? If it's a problem of chatzitza, what's the obvious question? It's very similar to what we learned, the first halacha of 2 glasses. Isn't this also a problem of chatzitza? So what the Mishnah is giving us another example of chatzitza? So we need to see in the Gemara. That's why, according to one shita, perhaps it's one of the same. It's not an added one. Kelim hani gemarim b'tahara. If I am creating this, I'm a craftsman, I'm creating this, takes me a few days, weeks. A zav could touch this all day long, it doesn't become tamei. When does it become tamei? From the moment that I finish it, at the end, the final touches. The makeh b'patish, the gemar, whatever you want to call it, however long it takes. If I am certain, yes, this sat in my shop and many people came by and they picked it up and they looked at it, oh, this is nice, da-da-da. But if I am certain that from the last final moment of me finishing, putting the final touch on this, no one touched it but myself and I'm tahar, then when it comes to truma, it's okay. But when it comes to kachim, it's not okay. You must be toivelet. You don't have this when it comes to truma. You don't have to be toivelet. A kli of kachim, that you treat this with kachim, you must put it in the mikveh regardless of who touched it and who didn't touch it and how certain you are that there's no kedusha and there is kedusha. Hakli mitzaref mashe b'toichai. So if we take the picture from yesterday, just blew it up a little bit. Here you have a kli with figs. If it's one piece of meat, and I touch the piece of meat, it's a 25-pound piece of meat. What part of it becomes tummy if I touch the piece? The entire thing. It's one. But these are individual pieces of fruit. I don't know if you can see so well, but it says over here, 1, 2, 3. If a avatuma touches this fruit, it becomes a rishon. The rishon in return touches this one right over here, it becomes a sheni. The sheni touches the third one, it becomes a shlishi. That's because it's all within this one vessel. This is a special halacha, kli, mitzarev mashe b'toicha l'kodesh. That's a halacha when it comes to kachim, if I'm treating this fruit on a high level of kachim. But if I'm just doing it normally, not normally, even a big chumrah called truma, I'm treating this Ami Yisrael, I don't need truma. But I want to be makbid and treat my fruit like truma, this doesn't work. It won't become tameh. Just because something, a dead rat, touched this one right over here, doesn't make the third one tameh. I can't use this kli to be mitzaref and
It's to make it all the same tumah.
no,
Same tumah?
no, I don't think so.
On the truma, it goes 1, 2, 3.
Who said? Hakli mitzaref mashe b'toicha l'kodesh, avaloi l'truma.
Right. The kodesh, all the same.
Check it out over there. I don't think so.
That sounds the same as the no say submitters. In this hand is effect within this hand.
Leis echad to become tameh, but how do you know what darga of tumah?
He says, to make it like one thing.
I'm not sure. Okay, well, what? Let's see. Which Rashi? Kli mitzaref. Let's see Rashi inside. Hakli mitzaref is mash b'doichoi. Oichlin chatichas harbe b'kli echad. V'noga tomei be'echad mem. Hakli mitzaref lois kulam chaticha achas v'nitmu kulam. Very good. You're right. 100%. That's what Rashi says. They all become one tumah. So nachama. Let's do it again. Shkoyach. The bezyonis of being a magid shir b'rabim. Here we go. Kavod the bezyonis b'simcha. The kli is mitzaref, but it's Torah, we have to do it right. The kli is mitzaref. If it's kachim, then this number 2 is number 1. It's all 1. Nor typically by truma, this 1 makes a 2, the 2 makes a 3. It goes down and down. But the kli by kach is mitzaref to 1. Shkoyach. No editing. We edit language in the proper way next time. Says the Mishnah, not there. Here we go. Another thing. I should really have this chart out over here because we're going to need it later. Where is it? That's not good. I hope I have it. Yeah, okay. This is just a very rudimentary list. This is the kli b'toich kli, and you see the knot, which is very similar. Those are the only 2 things. We learned this kli mitzaref over here. Now we're holding over here. This is the next list. Revi b'kodesh pasel. Okay. What's the? We'll use this one. Here we go. Harivi b'kodesh pasel v'hashlishi b'truma. So yesterday we learned that the difference between pasel and tameh. Pasel means that you cannot eat the food, but it doesn't have the ability to transmit tumah to another object or thing. If a shlishi, so the way it works, let's do this real quickly again. Tumah is very, very simple. It keeps on losing every time something touches, it loses its power, and it can only transmit tumah to certain things. Avi avos atuma, I changed this because yesterday I said this is avatuma, which could be that the sign itself is avatuma because the dead person is touching the sign. So instead I wrote ani avi avos atuma, the dead man with his last strength is holding up the sign, Superman dead man. He's holding up the sign that he's avi avos atuma. He's the worst of the worst tumah that's possible. If he touches not a sheretz, but a human being, then the human being, a live person, becomes a avatuma. Avi avos becomes a av. A sheretz is the beginning of avatuma. Nobody touched him. He himself, when he dies, he has the ability to transmit tumah to a kli or a person. If a person touches a dead sheretz or a human being that touched a dead man, in other words, these two touch the avatuma, they become one less, and that's called a rishon. One less than a rishon is a sheni makes a shlishi makes a revi makes a chamishi. So, a human being that was touched by another human being that went to levaya makes a human being that touched a human being that went to levaya. He's a rishon, he makes a sheni. A sheni, this food, touches a regular piece of food, nothing happens. But if the food that it touches is a high level of kedusha, it's truma, then it becomes pasul, it becomes a shlishi, and you can't eat that apple. But the apple stops. The tumah of the apple does not go on any further. It stops. It's not tameh, it's pasul. You can't eat it. What it could do is touch a carbon. If that shlishi touches a carbon, then the carbon becomes what? One madrega less, a revi, and you can't eat the carbon becomes pasul, but not tameh. You can't make a chamishi. The only time that carbon can make something tameh is if it touches paraduma water. That's it. That's the end of the story. So again, avi avayza tuma makes avatuma. Avatuma makes a rishon makes a sheni can make a shlishi, but only in one case. Truma, kachim. But it can't make chulin tameh. So says the Mishnah, Revi b'kodesh pasul. When it comes to kachim, even if a shlishi touched it, it becomes revi and pasul. V'ashlishi b'truma. If a sheni touches truma, it becomes what? A shlishi. Hashlishi b'truma. U'b'truma im nitnas achas miyadav. We're talking about tumah d'Rabbanan here. If it becomes tameh in the hand, chaver t'tahira. His friend is tar. One hand becomes tameh, only one hand. The tumah does not transfer through the body to the other hand. However, if you want to eat kachim, you're in the Beis Hamikdash, and you want to eat your shlamim, or you want to eat a chatas, you need to wash both of your hands. A hand makes tumah and kachim, not in truma. You have a fruit. We don't have a fruit here today. You have a fruit that was never mukhshar lekabel tumah. Remember, I did that thing. I took an apple and I poured water on it. One of the 7 liquids makes fruit susceptible to tumah. If the fruit never touched water, never had water, I'm allowed to eat the fruit with tamei hands because the fruit is not going to be susceptible to tumah. The only way it's susceptible to tumah is it had liquid. If it didn't have liquids, I'm eating it with my dirty hands, with not dirty, halachically dirty hands, tumah hands. How's it going, Jonathan? You good? You good to go tomorrow? Come on time. Tomorrow, boys, it's big. This is going to be the 3rd year. Every year, I was on the floor. I don't know about you guys. Jonathan is amazing. I don't know. Who knows about the daf? We have to do Purim Torah tomorrow. He's going to make fun of me. It's going to be givaldik. Do not eat kachim with your tama hands. Okay. Oh, we were supposed to get her yesterday, up to here. Wow. Somebody who lost a loved one, even though he never went to the levaya, they called him on the phone. They said, so-and-so's very close relative was nifter, but he's in another country. He's a oinen. He cannot eat kachim unless he goes to the mikvah. He never touched the dead person. No, does it? Real quickly, let's learn new Yisaitis, or let's chazer the old Yisaitis. There's something called a Tful Yom. This is just the Babelhead. I used it back then when we were learning Pesachim or whatever. This is me, okay, fine. But I'm tznius underneath it, so don't send me any emails. I just put a towel there, This is a mikvah. If a person needs to go to the mikvah, person is a balkari, he goes to the mikvah during the day. He doesn't become tahar until the night. From the time he goes to the mikvah until the nighttime, he's in a category called Tvul Yom. He removed some of his tumah, but he doesn't become completely tahar until nighttime. What is he allowed to eat? He's allowed to eat chulin, but he cannot eat truma and kachim. He can't eat truma and kachim. Mechusar Kippurim is different. Mechusar Kippurim means it's already nighttime. but he has to bring a carbon, and you can't bring a carbon until what? The following morning. So all the way until he brings his carbon, let's say he's a mitzayra, whatever, he has to bring his birds, the zav, has to bring his karbanas the following morning. Here's the chiddush. He could eat truma, but he cannot eat kachim. Now he's allowed a little bit more. He's allowed to eat not only chulin, he can eat truma, he cannot eat kachim. Says the Mishnah, that's the difference between truma and kachim. Truma you could eat even if you didn't. So time out, I missed one step. He brought his carbon the following morning, but he didn't go to the mikveh after the carbon. So when it comes to Mechusar Kippurim, you cannot eat. You can't eat. You can't eat kachim. Says the Gemara. Why is this no good? Case number one, kli b'toich kli. Why is it no good? Because this is so heavy and it puts pressure between the bottom of the inner shot glass and the outer shot glass. There's pressure there and the water is not going to go. So it's as the Gemara when we're talking about the knot. Where's that guy? Here we go. That you have to undo a knot when you're toivel a beget of kachim. So that's chatzitza. It can't be the same case. You undo the knot and you dry it down and then you put it in the mikvah. And then you make the knot again. We're just repeating the Mishnah. Ubetruma, kosher. You let it have a knot. We'll put it in the mikvah. No, that's the answer. Says the Gemara. Yes. Teres number one. This and this are actually the same halacha. The two cups and a beged that has a knot. The Yashmina Reisha, very simple. The Reisha, this case, we're talking about pressure, and the water is not going to go between the two glasses. Great. But when it comes to a knot, there's no pressure, it's a very loose knot. Perhaps it shouldn't be a big deal at all. So, Kamash Malon, that it is a big deal. You have to undo a knot when it comes to kachim. And if I'm just talking about the seifa, which is the knot, returning to Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Beis, 20 daf into the Masechta. The kitra b'maya yedukim mehadik. You know what happens when you put clothing into water? It expands and it becomes tighter. Avaresha, the mayak fuyi makfu. I could say that maybe the inner cup will start floating. Water naturally is going to lift it up and get underneath it, and it's going to be just fine. Makulei lamana to the kli. Lo have a chatzitza, shouldn't be a chatzitza. Tzricha. We just turned to Chaval and Beis, sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Chewy Woody and the Kale twins, and sponsored by Moshe Kinsbursky in honor of Brian and Talia Edgar. Says the Gemara. Reb Ilo l'tamei. Reb Ilo says all the way in the beginning of the Gemara that we're discussing chatzitza. He goes according to himself. The Mishnah lists 11. Now, if you're wondering why it looks like this, whatever. It was up here, but I had to take this guy and put it over here, and I didn't have time to move it up. Okay, we have 11 things here, but Rabila says there's only 10. How could he say there's 10 when there's 11 things? Count in the Mishnah, you'll see there's 11. Says the Gemara, Chamish Rishonim ben lekodesh ben lechulin shenasu ataras hakodesh. Achronos. These right over here apply to somebody that's eating real kachim, a real behema, and somebody that's eating a banana off the tree, which is chulin, and thinks in his mind that it's kachim. Achronos lekodesh avaloi lechulin shenasu ataras hakodesh. These 5 right over here are only for real kachim, not l'chulin shenas al taras hakodesh, and not for a guy pretending or being machmer in his head. My timer. Chamesh kamai said this little drara the tuma. Drara is a very simple word. It means in Hebrew shaychus. It has a connection. So the first 5 or 6, we'll see. This little drara the midaraisa goes rabbanon ben lekodesh ben l'chulin shenas al taras hakodesh. It's really 5 because the 2 reds are 1, so it's 5. So since it has a connection to the Oraisa, each and every one of these, you could see it happening. We'll see in Rashi in a second. So it has a connection to a Deraisa. These are all cases of Deraisa. We might be talking about a Derabanan, but this is Deraisa. So Mamela, I was geyser on everything. Basraisa, the less Ludror, the Tumah Deraisa, the last 5, it's a made up thing by Derabanan. Made up. It's only a Derabanan. Gazru b'Rabbanan lekodesh. Rabbanan said, we are going to make the Gzera only when it comes to real kachim or real carbon. L'chulin shenasal taras lekodesh legazru b'Rabbanan. Let's see Rashi real quickly because I want to get to the videos. So Rashi di b'Ramaskil drora the tumah deraisa. Says Rashi. Rashi's only going to talk about the first 5. Chashat, you have it. 6 lines down. Drora the tumah deraisa. Chashash tumah deraisa. Kli b'toich kli. When you have one kli inside another one. I'ika chatzitza. If there's a problem of real chatzitza, tumah deraisi. So this has a connection to real deraisi because chatzitza is a serious thing. Happens to be now, we're not talking about a deraisi, we're talking about the rabbanon, because really the water does go. But because there's another case where it's glued together with cement or whatever it is, that chatzitza is a problem deraisi. So over here also, we're makbid even when a person pretends that his banana is kachim. Acharayim v'toich. This case, that I touched this right over here, and not over here, that's also connected to the Raisa. We're talking about a Tumah Rabbanan. Asking, the whole thing that we're saying now, the Rabbanan say that liquids are metamed this kli. We're talking about liquids touching the kli. That's because of a different case, a Dairaisa case of a zav spitting at a kli, and that's a Dairaisa. So we're in the same category, and therefore we treat it with the utmost chumrah, and therefore if a person takes this kli and pretends in his mind that it's kachim, it is also, you have to be makman on it. Kigoin, roika, you made me raglov, his bodily fluids are tamim midaraisa. Veimitamim kli midaraisa. Umetum midaraisa, in chilu b'kli shetev. Shetev, kli shetev means any kind of kli in the world besides a kli cheres. So there's no difference between a regular kli and ben echarayim l'toichad. Inside out, if a zav spits on this kli, everything becomes tamim, even the bottom part. Next, if a person is holding a shoe of a zav, it's also a concern of the rice in a different case. We're going to see in the Gemara, there's a story, his sandal, part of his sandal fell into the ear space of the barrel, and memela, it's a deraisa. Big day, right? When the ear space of a barrel of klicheres is a deraisa. Big day oichlin truma measures lekodesh shemi yashva aleim mishnei nida chashash tumah deraisa. If a woman sits down and either sits down on kalim or zava sits down on clothing, it becomes a deraisa. So now also we're talking about if a person treats his jacket, even though now we're talking about the rabbanon, it's a deraisa. Fine. Next, but the rest of the list, all this is only midrabanan. Kli mitzaref is a concept of the rabbanon. Reviba kodesh is a concept. All this is. Yadayim is all the Rabbanan, so Mamela, it has no connection to the Raisa, so it's only Tomei when it's the real thing, the real carbon. Rava Omar, Rava says, look, it's impossible. Since this, which is knots, are a problem of Chatzitza, it's not the same thing. And therefore in the Mishnah we have 11 cases. So why is it that two kalim, Kli, Betoich, Kli, you ready? Gershon, get ready here. For the first video. So let me show you real quickly. This is Shriferes Hanoid, let's say, nowadays. It's a bottle. The opening of the bottle is 2 fingers. In order for me to have a hechsher in a mikvah, so let's say, here, go to the first video, please.
Good morning, Rabbi Isai. It's literally 15 minutes before Shir, but I just realized that I wanted to show you what Shriferes Hanoid is in a real actual mikvah. So I'm taking you, we're under construction here, a little dirty. Here's a very, very simple mikvah that I installed. Anybody can install in their house. It's made out of simple metal. It's not a kli, it's attached to the ground. And this is the actual mikvah. This is where the rainwater is, right in this compartment. And what connects the rainwater to the regular water is that hole right over there. And it's kishriferes hanoid, 2 fingers go in to the hole, and they can rotate.
All right, that's kishriferes hanoid. If you go to the mikveh next time, you'll see that in the bar there's a hole somewhere, and that connects the bar that you're being toivel in to the through hashaka to the next bar. Okay, that's kishriferes hanoid. Now, what's the concern? The concern is kedisnan. It says in the Mishnah, iruv mikvahs kishriferes hanoid. To mix, to combine rainwater to a regular mikvah, you need a hole the size of 2 fingers kishriferes hanoid. Ka'avya ukechalala, like the outside. Where's that picture? Not the 2 fingers fit in the inside, but like the whole width from the outside of the bottle. That you could spin your fingers around and it could come out easily. Okay, so now he says over here, now this is the next video. Show that video, please. Here we are again in Ramat Chemesh in the Kale Mikvah. I just want to explain to you why Rava says that one kli within another kli is not a good tefillah. And the reason is because you could have this sort of kli right here where you can't fit 2 fingers in the opening. It's not kishriferes hanoid. And then a maritz might come along and take this needle and put it in this kli and think to himself, well, I'm submerging the entire kli in the water. It's completely submerged. It should be a good tefillah. But it's not a good tefillah because it doesn't have shriferes hanoid. Therefore, they were geyser that cannot be toivel kli with toif kli. Okay. Yeah, show this one also. This is very important. Time out. This is a very important halacha. Based on what we're learning now. Some people take small kalim, they have a bunch of knives, and they put it in a basket, and they put the basket into the mikveh. Is that okay or not okay? It's wide open to the mikveh. It has little holes all over. It's not okay if you don't do it in the right way, and go to the videotape. This is what we're talking about here. All right. So we're here at a local mikveh in Beit Shemesh, a kalim mikveh. And I want to be toivel this knife. Now I'm worried if I bring this knife and I put it into the mikveh, it's going to drop to the bottom. So I have a beautiful idea. I brought my basket, my laundry basket, and you see it has a lot of holes here. But here's the issue. What do you think? My fingers, 2 fingers don't fit in here, so I don't have the proper shear of shriferes hanoid. So I'm going to drop this into the mikveh. There you go. It's in there. But here's the problem. The reason why I cannot be toivel my knife right now is because the top of this basket is outside of the water. And since I don't have a kishriferes hanoid, and if I drop my knife in here, I don't have a proper mikvah. So therefore, if you ever go to the Kala mikvah, you have to make sure that the basket is completely below the water level. If it's below the water level, then I can drop my knife in. Voila! Tefillah. Pull it out. Ah! I got wet there. Spilled all over me. Oil knife. I want to show you something else. Very interesting. They already thought about this here at Yisrael, and they have their own basket. How does this basket work? The holes are very small. What's this shriferes hanoid? Take a look. Right here in the bottom is a shriferes hanoid. 2 fingers go in here, and I could go all the way around. This allows me to be toivel kalim in this basket, even though the top of the basket is above the water line. Have a wonderful day. Now, what's very important is, have a wonderful day, but what's important is that it only works in a basket and not in a bottle. Why is it? The Gemara here says, maybe we'll learn tomorrow, because baskets are always wide on the top, where bottles are narrow on the top. That's tomorrow's sugya. Have a wonderful day.